Hello, we are back for our Friday Demos Day here at Agentuity. This is week 12. We're building in public. We're trying to figure this thing out. We're having a lot of fun, super tired, and we missed everyone last week. We were at React Miami last week, so we'll talk a little bit about the recap here in a few minutes, but we wanted to go through do our normal demos, but today we did a little bit of a special thing that we're going to start doing on Fridays, which is we're calling it Agent Day. So every Friday, we are trying to build an agent native company. So what does that mean? What does that mean for how you run a company? All the operations, all the things that you do. We're trying to build an agent platform, and we're building a bunch of agents ourselves to kind of use not only dog food our platform, but also just benefit the company, benefit the product. We've been building a number of agents, and we just wanted to make a concentrated time. All the agents pretty much we built today have been a little bit on the, doing it when we can between all the other tasks that we have to do. So we wanted to give ourselves every week a dedicated time in the near future to continue to just every Friday spend time building agents and kind of building our own agents, and then where we can, obviously trying to make those agents available open source or make them available on our platform as well. So kind of killing two or three birds with one stone, proverbially. So I'm going to start us off today and do my demo. I did a little bit of a demo. I worked a lot in the last 2 weeks on refactoring our SDK and our infrastructure to be fully streaming up until this new release. We sort of had an intermediate protocol on how we sent data to and from the agent, and that included doing some things like basic C4 encoding and things like that, so we could handle binary data. The disadvantage of that, it was a little complicated, and it made it hard to stream, especially stream input and stream output together. And so I've worked this last week and a half or so working on all the infrastructure for that, and we finally have gotten that out today for the JavaScript SDK, and Python will be a fast follow here in the next few days, and the rest of the infrastructure already supports that. So I'm going to show a few things, and then Rob's going to show a few things around that. The other really big thing that we did this week is agent-to-agent communication for remote projects. So up until today, we released it. You could pass off, you could invoke agents in the same project. So you could hand off to another agent, or you could just invoke those agents inside the same project by ID. Today, we released the ability to do agent to agent across projects, within the same organization. No authorization required. It handles all the kind of the security and authorization and encryption, all that underneath the covers. But also, you can also invoke public agents, which starts to open up some really interesting opportunities in the future. So if if you build an agent, deploy it in Agentuity, it's a public agent. You can then, another agent, even outside your organization, outside your project, can actually invoke that. We'll have a lot more documentation. We're going to make that a lot easier. We're going to make it a lot easier to collaborate, share, and do all those things in the near future, but we kind of put the infrastructure in place for that. So let me start with just showing a couple of things that I did on my agent day, and also show off some of this. So I built a coding agent. It's not a full coding agent today. It's just a little simple agent that understands a repository, and it can answer questions and perform tasks on your behalf. It's open source. You can go to agent-cody at our repo, on our GitHub repo. It's really easy to deploy. I've got an example source code that I'll show you here. It uses some pretty interesting stuff. It also kind of brings out kind of how we think about building these smaller purpose-built agents. So I'll just jump right into it and just do a quick code review, and then I'll actually demo it real quick. So I'm basically passing some information, the repo, and a prompt. And that repo basically is a GitHub repo. It's got to be a public repo. And then what it does is it fetches the content and then feeds the LLM content. It feeds we're using a third-party library, but we're feeding all the source code and a summarization of the repository into the LLM, which you can sort of see down here. And then with a prompt that basically says, hey, you're a helpful software developer. Here's everything about this everything about this repository. And then you can basically answer a prompt So we're using Gemini 2 to show off some of the new Gemini features that just came out recently. Pretty good around coding and also, kind of reasoning and thinking. So that's kind of what this does. And then this also shows off some of the new interfaces that we've made changes around. So this is the new streaming interface. So we're doing a stream text. This is the Vercel SDK. We're getting a text stream back, and then we're just streaming the text. So what's really cool about this is the agent itself isn't really processing any of the data. He's just taking the stream directly from the LLM and passing it out, external. This also shows off a few other changes, big changes we made this week that were breaking changes. We moved all the data interfaces to be asynchronous so that we could do the streaming before they were synchronous and they were properties instead of methods. We changed that around. And as well as it shows off a little bit of how to use the KB. So we're using KB here to store this repo content and cache it. In this case, we're just caching it for 5 minutes. So we don't have to fetch it over and over and over. And then, so let me show off. I'll run this. I'm first going to run this locally. I'm going to run this in dev mode just so we can show off dev mode. And I'm going to open up dev mode here. If we go into dev mode, you'll see also there's a really nice set of welcome prompts here and context that dev mode now provides. The way you can do that came out about 2 weeks ago, or a little bit less than 2 weeks ago. At the top of your agent file here, you can see I have this agent welcome. You can export this, totally optional. If you don't provide it, that's fine. You don't need to, it's not required. But if you do, you can actually control what we show. So what prompts, example prompts, for example, do you want to give the user during dev mode to maybe help them out? And then also the welcome prompt. So that's what's showing up here, as you can see it here. And then you can sort of see mine. I'm going to change this over here to, let's say, docs. And I'm going to ask them some questions. Let me ask it a question. What is the purpose of this documentation site? How about that? And can you give me a code example? How about that? So let's say this will take a second. So I'm just running this in normal dev mode. It's going to take a second. Given that it's got to fetch the repo contents, and then it's got to go feed all that into stream all that into the LLM, and you can sort of see here. All right, here we go. So did a pretty good job here, actually, based on the documentation, the purpose of the site, technical documentation for Agentuity Cloud Platform is pretty cool. And then it even gave you an example, and it's even got the new syntax, and even tells you it's the new syntax here, which is pretty, it's pretty cool. Yeah, there you go. So I think that's a pretty successful one. A couple other things I want to show real quick while I'm here is we also on Cody, when I go to the agent screen, we've also improved some of this work here this week. So Bobby's been doing a lot of really good work around this, around the new cron and some of the new input and output sources for the agent. We also have this new little indicator here. We wanted to make sure people understood when you actually have an agent that is publicly accessible, meaning anybody can, if they know the URL to the agent, they can access it. So we're doing a bunch of work this week around making that a little bit easier, but you can sort of see here, we're showing you this message. We're also giving you this prompt here. So let me just copy this prompt, and we're going to run that same prompt, but I'm going to run it publicly, and I'm going to show off a couple other features that we just released as well. So let me kill dev mode. I'm going to move this prompt around here. So this is my example prompt. So I'm going to sort of say, let me say, what is the language of this repo? How about that? And then I'll just give it a repo. I'll just say Agentuity. Let's say SDK. Let's just say do the CLI. Okay, so I'm gonna use this at normal. So this is a normal webhook. So in this case, it's just gonna go off and it's gonna be asynchronous. It's a normal webhook. So the agent's gonna run, it's gonna respond, etc. We also introduced in this past week, we also introduced the ability to have an API. So in this case, I'm gonna rerun this, but instead of it being a webhook, you can just change this to API, and then I'm gonna send that over, and that'll take a little bit. Obviously, because it's got to actually run the API. You can sort of see the new streaming. So it actually ran pretty fast. It actually streamed it right back now. And you can actually get an API to your agent as well. Now, we don't have the front end yet done, so you can actually configure the API and do some of the things like you can with the webhook, but that'll be coming hopefully in the next week or two. But that's my demo. And I'm going to pass it over to Robin.
I was going to demo the streaming stuff too, so I guess that's my demo too.
No, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. It's a different demo.
Here we go. So I got this Palm agent. This is a really simple one. And this is just using the new streamable stuff that Jeff just showed. And so now when you do a call stream text or something, it actually doesn't matter whatever you're calling. So long as you get back at any sort of thing that implements a readable stream, you can call REST bus stream and just do that. So I'll go ahead and just one sec. Let's my keyboard reconnects. Come on. There we go. For that. And I have this originally generating ASCII code, but LLMs generate really weird ASCII code. So try that out at home. I'll go ahead and I'll just do the same thing here. I can give this guy a vibe. Okay, I have one as well. So I'll do React. This is also going through that API as well. Same kind of business. Yeah. So that's it. That's my demo with that.
All right, let me see. All right, small demo from me this week. Made some changes to the agent detail UI that you can see in like a sheet or the page when you refresh it in the non-intercepted view. But now what we're doing is if you're in a project and you have multiple agents in that project, you can switch between agents on the fly here. So if I just want to look at details of another agent, I can just go ahead and switch to that agent. And that same goes for the non-intercepted view. So like this page view, it'll work exactly the same. So I'm going to go back to concierge host. We also have some additional data showed here, like the last deployed date. This wasn't here before. And we had an issue where when you created an agent but never deployed it, it showed it as active. Now it's going to show like a special like created status that has never been deployed. And then what we're doing to LLM models now is that this list can grow as you like change things out. We're limiting it to the first 3, and then you can hover over to see more if there is any more. Below here, we added a tab for recent storage activity, so you can see like what your sessions are doing as far as storage goes. Like here we have a vector upsert to this storage named concierge conversations. So it's just like being able to see what your agents are doing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Everything else I did this week has been small bug fixes and some internal stuff. That's it. Go ahead, Bobby.
Hello. So I'm going to touch on some stuff I did in the app this week. So like Jeff said, now you can add sort of these inbound webhooks for a specific agent. That was the other view is over here, right? So we also have a project view of that, project level view. So over in integrations, webhooks, I have 2 sections, outbound webhooks and inbound webhooks. This one's currently disabled, but you can also see the 2 icons here and here. And then I want to just talk through conceptually about the agent I worked on this week or this Friday, and then we'll try to do a quick demo. We'll see how it goes. So Collider is, you can think of Collider as a test bench for all the functionality that we offer within Agentuity. So that's like LLM calls, KV access, and like vector access. Right now, Collider hits all of the LLMs that we offer access to through our gateway, and also hits the KV. So I'm just going to run through, and it does it in all the different runtimes we support. So we have one for Bun, we have one for Node, and we have one for Python. So I just pop open this guy real quick. I'm using some of the agent-to-agent communication.
Can you make it a little bit bigger, Bobby?
Absolutely. I'm using that API endpoint that Jeff was talking about previously to make these calls synchronously. So collider orchestrator spins up, and he'll loop through all of these different agents and kick them off. We can see the post is right here. And then we'll go through, and inside of each of these agents, we write the results of each test to a Neon database, and then we're going to pull those out and create a report for ourselves. This is, again, pretty primitive, but you could imagine a scenario where the output of this test gets piped into the coder agent and helps us solve some problems. I'm going to pop over just in the AI SDK real quick. It's over here. Oh. 1 second. So this is what the test looks like. It's just a bunch of models, right? And we're just going through and making sure we can hit all of these different models and they're working correctly. It just creates a little poem about a cat. Okay, so I already got dev mode spun up. So let's see. Okay, let's kick off the test. There we go. Running. Okay. Again, we've had some errors. Oh, man. Let's just pop over and see. We got some results. Okay. Ignore the errors in the side panel, right? We're still working through that. But you can see all of our tests got written to the database here. So we can see for each model, we can see like what kind of test it was, the runtime. Here's like node, language, and such. Right, here's one that was an error. This wasn't able to connect to something. Yeah, so work in progress, but one of the agents, and an example of how we're actually using this stuff internally and sussing out some of the issues. That's it for me.
Before we pass it, can I do one more quick demo? I forgot to show a couple things.
Yep.
Let me do that real quick. I wanted to show, we made this change recently, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I don't think we ever really talked about it. So if you go into either vector or KB storage, assuming you're using those, this is my demo I was using earlier where I was showing where I was caching it into KB. I thought it'd kind of be neat to kind of show you, like, you can actually visualize this, and it's pretty neat actually. And this is kind of what we're feeding in. We're actually having repo mix generate for a repo a summary of the entire repo, which is then LLM content and instructions that we feed into the LLM. So you can sort of see what it gets generated here. It's pretty neat. It actually generates pretty much everything. And this viewer is pretty nice because this viewer will show you, depending on what you store in KB, since it can be binary, JSON or text or an image or whatever, it'll correctly render, as best it can, it'll correctly render that. So you can sort of see all the different pieces of data here. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, Matt.
Awesome. Yeah, so as promised, I'm just going to give a bit of a recap of what went on last week at React Miami. And I've basically just got a little bit of a slideshow. So let me pull that up. All right, so started off with a bit of a long trip, especially for some of us. For some reason, Jeff and Robin decided to join me on the Brightline train unnecessarily. They just wanted to hang out and get some code done and get some work done on the train. So that was the start of our trip. Also, Robin just likes trains. So, but yeah, the first part of the week, we got there a few days early on purpose, was to get together, to work together. We like to do that every once in a while, seeing as we're a primarily remote company. So a lot of sitting on couches, sharing screens, talking through some different stuff, working real hard, sometimes working kind of hard, sitting and enjoying the beautiful view from our Airbnb condo in downtown Miami. There was also a lot of connection, relationship stuff going on while we were down there. So we had a fantastic dinner with our lead investor, Boltstart, over at Ed's house with Elliot and some other friends. And so that was a great night to get together and relax a little bit before the public preview launch, and learn a lot of interesting, amazing things, and hear some great stories, and talk about the future of the company and the future of really AI in general. So After that, we got back to work. We spent quite a bit of time doing actual conference prep. So these are some of the things that we gave away at the conference. We gave away these postcards. On the back, there was a coupon for $50 in free credit, and everyone got these really cool pins that say Day One Developer, again, preview launch. So we wanted to make it special for everyone that came over and talked to us and signed up and started using the product. So they all walked away with this really cool enamel pen. And it was time to actually get to the booth. So here's Bobby and KB in front of our booth that we had at the conference before the madness started. Rick also got up in front of the crowd at one point and gave a really great 2-minute pitch. And, you wonder if it worked or not. Yeah, it worked pretty well. We had a lot of conversations and, multi-hundreds of conversations, I think, surely. With different people at the conference. I think we probably talked to the majority of the attendees at the conference over those 2 days. So it was a great crowd, great variety of people to talk to with really crazy, interesting ideas. So it was good to get in front of them, give them a demo, get the first real public feedback on our product, and hear what people think about it and what kind of things they plan on doing. So it was really exciting, and really sort of gave us a little bit more pep to continue working through some of this stuff. We also took some time, do some promotional stuff. Rick did a bit of a podcast. You can see he's really into this idea of
what is that phrase?
Yeah,
He's talking about COBOL.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a couple funny moments in that conversation. So we'll be sure to send it out on our Twitter when it's up and live, and within the next couple of weeks here. But yeah, Next Dev FM, great little podcast. We love those guys. So. Like I said, we'll send that out. We also had another special guest stop by and shoot a little video at our booth. I think everyone probably recognizes this guy, but if not, this is Theo. He's a pretty big guy in the community on YouTube and Twitter and everything else. So again, it was great to talk to him, to tell him what we're doing, get some of his initial feedback, and have him share it with his community. And we're looking forward to hearing more of his feedback as he starts using it some more, and again, as like all the people in his community as well. So yeah, we had a lot of fun though at the same time. We got a little bit of the worm from Bobby, as we always have to have. But yeah, it was great getting out, meeting a lot of different people, hanging out with the folks from Windsurf and Auth0 and Knock and the people at G2I that put on the event. So it was great for relationship building and talking to people about what they're building and how we can utilize their tools in some of our agents and how they can use agents in some of their product and everything else. So it was really meaningful connections built over the week. And yeah, we left React Miami feeling kind of like this. This was the vibe the whole week. And it was a really fantastic ending. I sort of buried the lead here. You may have seen it on our Twitter. But the really big, awesome moment throughout the whole week was, I think Jeff was the only one that was in sort of the room as they were doing the awards at the end of the conference, and everyone else was just at the booth or whatever. I happened to walk over sort of right at the moment. But yeah, it was announced that we actually won coolest feature launched in the last year. And yeah, Rick's got the, I'll let you show that when I'm done sharing the screen here for a second. But yeah, it was super meaningful. It was an audience voted award. My favorite comment is, it's the coolest feature launched in the past year. That's 52 weeks. At the time, we'd only been around for 12 weeks. So imagine what we could have done with those other 40 weeks. So it was a great honor for us. And it just showed that, we really are sort of on the right track. And this, idea of an agent native company where we can just build super quick and build amazing product is really coming to fruition for us. So now that I'm not showing my screen, Rick, I don't know if you want to show the award again, so it actually shows up. Yeah, there you go. So we'll get that moved.
Oh my gosh,
we'll get that moved to the corporate office whenever Rick decides to relinquish it and mail it to
Florida,
us.
It stays in Florida. That's how this
Florida
works.
satellite. That's our Florida satellite, Miami HQ2.
I got to figure out what to do with this thing too. I might hang out.
Send that as well.
I think Rick stole that. I don't think we were supposed to take that, Rick. And we paid for it though, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Rick. That's my wrap for React Miami. Over to you, Rick. Continue on.
One of the things during the demos, there was tons and tons of demos that we did, but there's an open source template that if anybody hasn't seen it, you can go to our GitHub, and it's the one that says Miami on it, and it's a concierge template. So it's like 5 agents, I think. They do a bunch of different things together. And so that's what we demoed. So we demoed like asking what to do in Miami, what speakers are talking next hour, all that kind of stuff. So it all worked together. But the cool thing was, I mean, it's straightforward demo. I'm sure people have seen this before, but like we could take users right to the code, developers right to the code, and go, look, this is the code that's running this. You can change it and do, you own it. So anyway, go check that out. It worked pretty cool. And then also one of the things, the day one developer, everybody got a day one developer pin, special edition pin, and it's on their profile. So if anybody's listening and you were there and you signed up during that week, you should have that on your profile now. So that's a unique thing.
And
for a launch.
and if you were too, out of it after your week in Miami to go sign up within the week afterwards, but you've got the pin, you can just ping us in Discord. We'll add it to your profile in the app, so you get to have it in the app as well.
Yeah, it's good fun time stuff. But I won't demo the Miami thing. It was something we did last week. All right, so let me show you one of the things I worked on this week. Share my screen. You see it okay, everybody? So we have this Ops Center thing, which we're going to need, as you can imagine. We had a bunch of signups last week and starting to get some users, and people are reporting errors or reporting this. We need to check up on something, give them some credits, all that. So there's all that administrative stuff that pops up. So inevitably, every company ends up with like, oh, we got to build something to help manage that. And so you either pile together a bunch of scripts and you run it, as a developer to run it, or you build like some heavy UI. So we did something different here, which is we built a chat bot, basically a chat agent. And I'm going to show you some of the start of it. So these are actually, let me just show you the capabilities. So the tools we have that we did this week were, you can get information about the user. You can check out any of our service errors. When I say we, it's for us. We can check out any of our service level errors across the infrastructure and the stack. We can give credits to users, check a user's balance, check if a coupon's been redeemed. And then what I worked on this morning for our agent day was getting the user flow, like their status. So has a user gone through onboarding? Have they created a project? How many projects have been created by this year? How many users have gone through a certain flow? So I started on that. I'll demo that real quick. So like let's do are there any services? I'm running this locally, so this is all local data and local services. Carrying out. This is a silly one, but it should return, I think, 1 or 2. I'm just having an issue with one of them. Yeah, there you go. What's cool is because you hook this up to an LLM, once you get the errors back, it'll actually help troubleshoot it. It's pretty cool. So that's one. What's another one? Let's go get a user. Let's go get me. This is all local database users we generate. So this user, what is his balance? All right, so it looks it up. It uses those tools, looks up, oh, this user has a couple organizations. Balance is 0 for that org, and it's $60 for that org. Kind of cool, right? And then I can be like, give him 10 more, more. But we can do it with anybody. If we have a user ID, we can drop it in and say, give him some money. And there you go. I just added more money. So it takes a little bit of time. I think it's still 60, but it'll be 70 here in a little bit. So there's that. But then I could say, like, since we're talking about this user, what has this user done? That's kind of a silly one, but it should pull up. Yeah, so there you go. So I've signed up 2 months ago, onboarded, created a project. I haven't hooked up GitHub. Wow, it just wants to keep talking, doesn't it? It's a chatty Cathy over here. All right. Yeah. So yeah, created a project. I haven't connected to GitHub yet. This is a deployed an agent. I haven't hooked up IO to the projects in this account that I created. So that's it. So obviously from these tools, it's just a few of them. So we're going to add a bunch more. And what's cool is, I'll stop sharing. What's really fun is once you expose these underlying tools to the agent, man, it's powerful because it'll reason through it and go, oh, you want to add a coupon for this organization or for this user. Well, which organization? Oh, it's this organization. So it kind of walks you through all this stuff. And it does it with the errors too, errors in our services. So it'll be a real powerful thing for us internally. And it's much better than having to build out all this UI and bespoke imperative stuff, you know.
I think about all the dashboards we've had to build in the last couple of companies together, and the queries and dashboards and servicing, especially the non-technical parts of the organization that need data or need connection. And
I mean, you're talking a team of 3-4 devs and like a product person and a part-time designer, you know, months to build it out, and then ongoing, like it never stops requiring updates, right? Especially as like, you know, you get like a new sales leader or a new marketing leader or something like that, and you swap out some direction on that. Got to go retool it all to match their flow and their new tools and everything. So yeah, this is a big change.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, good.
All right, wrap us up, Rick. Take us home, Rick. You're already at home. We're actually all already at home.
I'm at home. Sorry, I'm supposed to wrap us up in what way? Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Yes, yes.
Find us on Discord.
Find us on Discord. If you don't know what our Discord is, go to the bottom of our homepage and there's like a little weird Discord icon. Look at Bobby. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Woohoo!
Woo! All right,
seriously though, on Fridays we're doing these agent days, and we're jumping into Discord, so it's kind of like an office hours type thing too. So if anybody wants to jump in, ask questions, we had somebody come in and ask a couple questions and stuff today. So that's great, and you can see what we're building as well while we're going through it.
All righty, that's awesome. Well, thanks everybody. I'm glad to be back on track, and we will see you next week. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.